Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Bolo Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Bolo Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Bolo Hare Krishna Boliye Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Bolo Bolo Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Radhe Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Jai Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Jai Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari It was fine the way it was. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jai Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jai Krishna Balaram. Jai Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Lalita Vishaka Jaya Radhesham, Lalita Vishaka Jaya Radhesham. Jaya Radha Shama Sundaradha Shama Sundaradhi. Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Go Haribo. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Stautar Satashishi Madhyavan Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nityalir Vishnu Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Stautar Satashishi Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj Ki Anant Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaurabhata Vrinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Brajabhumi Shri Varindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Gangamayi Ki Jai Jamunamayi Ki Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Nitai Gau Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru Shri Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya narang chaiva narottamam deving saraswating vyasam tato jayam udurayet nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavaduttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. So reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 24, Text 5. Yeah. It's one of the shortest, the 2 lines, right? Okay. Udasino rivad varja atmavat suhriduchyate. Udasino ravid varja Atmavat suhriduchyate Udasanore vadvarja Atmavat suhrid uchyate Varja. Uchyate. Mataji's. Udasina, one who is indifferent. Arivat, just like an enemy. Varjaha is to be avoided. Atmavat, like one's own self. Suhrit, a friend. Uchyate is said to be. Translation and purport. Translation: one who is neutral may be avoided like an enemy, but a friend should be considered like one's own self. Purport: even if Nanda Maharaj did not see friends, enemies, and neutral parties as entirely equal, Lord Krishna, being Nanda Maharaj's son, was certainly a most trustworthy friend and should therefore not be left out of intimate discussions. In other words, Nanda Maharaj might have thought that as a householder he could not act on the highest saintly platform, and thus Lord Krishna furnished additional reasons why his father should trust him and reveal the entire purpose of the sacrifice. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, Nanda Maharaj stood silent, doubting his position of parental aloofness, since Garga Muni had predicted that his son would be equal to Narayan in his qualities, and the young boy had already conquered and killed many powerful demons. Om Jnanatimrandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jaina Tasmai Shri Guruvei Namaham Shri Chaitanya Manobhistang Sapitang Jaina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dedati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Translation again. One who is neutral may be avoided like an enemy, but a friend should be considered like one's own self. So this Leela is developing, and Lord Krishna in all his Leelas is giving us instructions and directions. He was not happy that his intimate associates are worshipping the demigod Indra, although Vyasadeva, as we heard yesterday, in his writings of Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, didn't quite come to the Upasana Kanda, or the direct worship of Krishna. So as part of his Leela and pastime, he was feeling depressed and a little bit morose, naturally in front of his guru. Not that we're depressed, but we're inquisitive. So Narada Muni was smiling, instructed Vyasadeva, the reason why you're feeling that something missing is because you didn't sufficiently glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The essence of all the Puranas, the Smritis, the Shrutis, all the different corollaries of Vedic instruction are meant to guide us back home, back to Godhead. But depending on our mindset, our temperament, we sometimes are inclined, because why are we in this material world? Because we want to be the Purusha. What is the Purusha? The enjoyer, the supreme enjoyer. But we're Prakriti, we're servants. We're actually enjoying this, not enjoying, relishing the service that we're rendering to the Lord eternally. There are the Nitya Siddhas in the spiritual kingdom, Goloka Vrindavan, Vaikuntha Dham, unlimited. It's described in various literatures how 3/4 of the Lord's creation is consisting of his spiritual potency, spiritual energy, and the whole spiritual kingdom is like a lotus flower, and Goloka Vrindavan is at the center, and all the Vaikuntha planets are extensions. And there's so many incarnations of the Lord, and each incarnation has a different relationship with the followers on those particular Vaikuntha planets, eternal associates. And for those criminal-minded persons like ourselves, he's created Devidam, the material world. It's distinguished by birth, old age, disease, and death. That everyone is forced to die, everyone is forced to act according to the pushings of the modes of nature, Ariatmika, Aridaivika, Aribodhika. The mind is troubling, people are troubling, other living entities are giving us difficulty. The demigods, as we'll hear, will throw torrents of rain, and sometimes earthquakes. We hear how people are suffering because of earthquakes and pandemics. And this is due to the sinful activities in this material world, and everyone following some customary religious system. Sarvabhauma Prabhu yesterday gave very good examples of how people sometimes blindly follow religious procedures. You know, why we do that? Traditionally, my forefathers have done it, and the way they interpreted the scriptures, that's what we're supposed to do. So generally people are mental speculators, and those who are envious and jealous, even those who are striving for this mystic yoga or merging with the Lord are not considered devotees. They're actually considered, there's two classes of people, demons and devotees. But only those who are serving and surrendering to Krishna can be considered as devotees. Although in the Nectar of Devotion it describes that generally, almost always, those who take up devotional service are continuing from where they left off in their previous lifetimes. And if by fortune someone does come to Krishna consciousness, maybe they had no previous connection, this is considered special mercy of the Guru and Krishna. So very famous verse, Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. That we're wandering throughout this whole Devi Dham, all the universes are providing shelter and different costumes, different vehicles, so that we can try to experience that idea of being a Purusha, imitating Krishna. But everyone in the spiritual world, they're Prakriti, they're servants, loving servants, they're fully satisfied. But somehow or other, we've left our pure transcendental consciousness, and as the pure rain is coming from the sky, maybe like Indra's rains which will be coming, it's pure and transparent, but once it hits becomes muddied and covered and dirty. So our consciousness has been covered for a long, long time, and we identify with friends, enemies, and someone who's neutral, just like, if you know somebody, you come in the Mangalarti and don't pay any attention to them, don't say anything. People think, oh, I did something wrong, maybe, so-and-so is not responding to me, there must be some issue there. So obviously there's some deep meaning behind the neutrality, avoiding one with neutrality, so maybe they have some other intention. But a friend should be considered like one's own self. Krishna is very friendly and loving, very, very beautiful. And it says when Krishna, his face is described like the moon, his cheeks are moons, and his eyebrows and ears and eyes like the bow. And when Krishna gives sidelong glances, then the gopis become captivated, the gopas become captivated. The sound of Krishna's flute is mesmerizing. We've seen that one historical story, was it Ulysses? They're on the waters, and there's this sound, this music coming from an island, and and they're forced, they can't stop, they have to tie themselves to the ship so that they don't immediately go running to where this sound is coming from, because it's mesmerized and captured their mind and heart. That's just like a material analogy. It's all based on the ideas of achieving some higher happiness and pleasure. But Krishna's flute and Krishna's calling, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam are part of Krishna's flute sound vibration. The Guru is vibrating the melodious sound of Krishna's flute, meant to awaken us from our sleeping condition. What does Lord Chaitanya say? Jeev Jago, Gaura Chandra Bole. How long will we sleep in the lap of the witch called Maya? So Krishna here is asking from his father in detail, what is the purpose? What is the goal of your sacrifice? And Nanda Maharaj had to really consider, I have to explain, because he's my son, and it's predicted by Garga Muni that he'll be performing wonderful activities, and he's killed so many demons in the past and giving everyone protection. So my son is asking, I have to reveal. And somehow Krishna's beautiful explanations and logic and reason convinced the cowherd men and everyone that, yes, let's use all our paraphernalia to worship Govardhan, because Govardhan is providing the grass, the water, the shelter, the mountain caves are there. And as we heard again yesterday, that Srimati Radharani wanted her Govardhan here, and Jamuna River, and this Ramanareti. This Vrindavan has come from the spiritual world, and it's here, but we need to get free of our karma kanda ideas. That when we give up the desire for sense gratification, then we can see Vrindavan. And it's not simply that one can turn off the switch. The sadhana bhakti is required. Without sadhana bhakti, without the regulative principles and the training from the acharyas and the guru, and a submissive attitude to surrender to the guru, to hear the guru and cooperatively work in such a way that then the spontaneous or ecstatic devotional service manifests gradually as we practice by hearing and chanting. Just like Parikshit Maharaj, he was cursed within 6 days to die. We've all been cursed within 6 days, 6 years, 60 years, 160 years. Very short time, we're leaving. Everyone's leaving this world as sure as death. Taxes and death, they're always there. So even Lord Brahma, he'll be finished, even though he may live billions of years. So in Kali Yuga in particular, we have a very short lifespan. We don't have time. We don't have time to follow all the rigor of rules and regulations. Some rules and regulations we are following, but Srila Prabhupada did say that if I told you all that's required in this process, that you would run away. Some lord was asking, can you make me a brahmana? Yes, we can make you a brahmana. Give up illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling. He said, impossible. So in the material world, this is the life force. Everyone is working hard for the family, for money, for sense gratification, one way or the other. Even doing philanthropic and altruistic work, opening up big hospitals, big schools, feeding the poor, the beefs, they have no clue or real understanding of what is the ultimate purpose of life. Atah pungbir dvijashreshtas, that one who by his activities can serve and satisfy the Supreme Lord Vishnu, then he can understand the purpose and goal of life. So real purpose of our existence to get out of this entanglement, get out of this cycle of birth and death, get free of the fear. Everybody's in anxiety. And what is that anxiety? This problem, that problem, my family is troubling me, my body's not healthy, it's very much anxiety. We've seen a lot of anxiety in the past several years, in particular because of pandemic and people being kind of restricted in their movements, unable to feel free and happy to wander in Braj and chant the holy name. So as a result, we're going to be packed. People are coming very enthusiastically because there's a higher pleasure. Param Drishtava Navartate. Srila Prabhupada's created this International Society for Krishna Consciousness for the purpose of systematically propagating the message of Krishna consciousness to everyone, all the fallen conditioned souls. And by Krishna's guidance and Krishna's examples, he's saying that if you come to me, I will give you protection. If you're feeling fearful that someone may kill me or a disease may come, I want to approach, please, can you give me protection? Can you give me protection? We can go to many big, powerful people, wealthy people, people who are famous. You can go to the best doctors, but still you must die. Still you will not be protected because this body is going to melt into the ground. Ashes to dust to dust. This is going to just again become part of Bhumi Rapanalo Vayu Kangmano Buddhir Evacha, earth, water, fire, air, ether. Krishna is such an incredible creator. He creates every single body. We even have our own fingerprints, our own unique fingerprints, and our own DNA, based upon what kind of nose and eyes and ears and what kind of parents, where we're going to be born, what kind of circumstances we're going to find ourselves in. But all that is simply the illusion, just like in the very first verse of Srimad Bhagavata, Janmad Yasya Yaton Vayad Itratas Chateshu Vigyaswarat. So Krishna is the original creator, the supreme creator, but it describes further along that he's given this knowledge of the Vedas to Lord Brahma, who's giving it to Narada, Vyasadeva, and all of mankind, to how to get out of the prison house. If you're in the prison and you're suffering, and someone gives you a formula that you follow this process, you get out of this prison house, you can live a free life. You're very thankful. You're very happy, and you very carefully follow because you're tired of suffering. You've served your senses how long? Billions of lifetimes. We've served our mind, and the kind of mind and intelligence we have, we can't blame the mind. That's what we want. These are our desires. We have so many desires for happiness. That's why we're thinking, let me be the Purusha. I want to be the Purusha, the enjoyer. But this enjoyment, so-called enjoyment, like in the Janmadyasya Yata verse, is like seeing land on water, or even water in the desert. The illusions of this material world are like a dangling carrot for the donkey, the ass, because the donkey is just thinking, just in a few more steps, I'm going to get my carrot and I'll be happy. So we're all thinking that through my intelligence and my own abilities, I don't need God. Why does, it's like, that's for the poor people. They have to pray to God. But the rich man suffers at birth. It must be a painful situation, packed up for so long and forced out through a very narrow passage, and so much suffering is there. Whether you come from a rich family or poor family, suffering is there. And when disease attacks you, it doesn't ask, are you poor or rich? No. And one thing, well, if I have money, I can go to a good doctor. But that's not a real solution. Mare Krishna, Rake Krishna Mareke. If Krishna wants to protect you, no one can kill you. And Krishna's saying, surrender to me, I'll protect you. I'll give you shelter. And if one, even if one thinks that if Krishna wants you to be killed, to finish this sinful body and have another human life, because human life is a gift, is a treasure. And if we are blind to how to access the treasure, I think the analogy is given of a poor man was told by an astrologer, Sarvagya, who knows everything. Astrologers are sometimes seen to be, see things that most people can't see. He said, oh, your father left you a great treasure, but you cannot access it in the south, in the west, in the north, because, this south is considered karma kanda, and the west, like the mystic yoga, perfections, and then the impersonal merging into the supreme. Only on the eastern side, by bhakti, by devotional service, will we uncover the real treasure. Because all these karma kandya and all the different scriptures that are there to facilitate our desires and wants, they're not the ultimate goal. The story of the person who went to Sanatana Goswami for the touchstone. This stone can turn other metals into gold. Sanatana Goswami, can I give me this treasure? Yes, it's over there in that pile of garbage there. So the man takes the touchstone. He's thinking, why would he keep it in the garbage? So Sanatana, you're cheating me. Give me, what is the highest thing? I want this touchstone. He said, no, you throw that stone away and just take the chanting of the Lord's holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So to come at a time having the mercy of Guru and Krishna, Guru Krishna, Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij, this seed of devotion is being watered. And Srila Prabhupada very scientifically, under the guidance of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, under the authority of the whole Guru Parampara, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then after sannyas spent 6 years at Radha Damodar temple experiencing the ecstasy of Rupa, Jiva Goswami, preparing for the mission of saving the conditioned souls. And this is a sign of a Vaishnava, Titikshava Karunika Suhrida Sarva Dehinam. He's a friend to all living beings, not neutral. He's a friend. Just like Krishna is a friend of everyone. And Srila Prabhupada, intensely praying And even we heard the other day about Prabhupada coming to America and seeing how degraded material civilization is, very degraded. Everything is focused on only self-gratification. If there's danger, immediate danger, one is always looking to save themselves. I told the story before, I think it was in '93, I was in Los Angeles. We just blew the conch shell for the Arctic, and we had a big earthquake. And people were jumping out the window and screaming and complete fear and anxiety. So that fearful situation, especially, we're thinking, well, I'm healthy, I'm okay. But I don't know if any of you have had like COVID or maybe some other disease and you can't breathe and the oxygen is going and you're getting, oh, I might have to go to a hospital, ventilator, or what's going to happen. We've seen many of our brothers, God sisters, and even ourselves have experienced the pains of material existence. So we should not neglect this opportunity while we have some energy in life without being busy in Krishna's service. What do they say? An idle brain is what? A devil's workshop. So the Guru is instructing, you get up early in the morning. Oh, I don't like it. Okay, Guru is instructing, I'll do it. You do the Mangal Artik. You worship the deities. You worship Tulsi Devi. You chant the holy name. You worship the Guru. You hear Nityang Bhagavata Sevaya classes every day in the association of devotees. Take only Krishna Prasadam. Always live with devotees. Avoid non-devotees. Those who are envious, those who are jealous, those who are mental speculators and not submissive to hear the message of Godhead. So there has to be some preliminary faith. Without the faith, without the Shraddha, then we're always, maybe this is, I don't know, I don't agree with this, I don't like that. Because from our limited perspective, we may think ourselves very intelligent or capable of understanding reality in our own way, that I'm right and everyone else is wrong, and my decision is the best of all decisions, my religion's the best, you know, I'm American, I'm Indian, I'm this or I'm that. These are all bodily concepts of life. And we should understand that I'm a fool, I'm living in this world in repeated birth and death in ignorance of Krishna. And somehow or other I've fallen into the cycle of birth and death. My dear Lord, please pick me up from this ocean of suffering and engage me as one of your servants. So the Mahamantra is a prayer, is a petition to the Lord that please cleanse my heart, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, because with a cleansed heart then we can see ourselves like a reflection in the mirror. It says that Krishna's beauty is reflected in the gopis. And that reflection is increasing, and they become happy, Krishna becomes happy. And it's never dull. It keeps increasing and intensifying. The relationship is not something of a mundane nature, because mundane relationships, in the beginning you're enthusiastic about it, but very quickly, as the body dwindles, our enthusiasm thinking that we can enjoy the present circumstances we put ourselves into, there's only suffering. There has to be suffering, unless Krishna's in the center. So our work has to be for Krishna. And we should think, how can I best serve Krishna? Not independent of the Guru's instruction, but the Guru, he sees, he wants that we're following this sadhana bhakti carefully, that we're becoming Krishna conscious, and that we're actively preaching Priti Viteya Chayada Nagaradigram Sarvatra Prachara Hoibe Moranam. So we're preaching this message all over the world. Very quickly, Prabhupada ignited a spiritual revolution. It doesn't happen by chance. Krishna Shakti Vinana Hetara Pravartana. Unless Krishna empowers someone, they don't have the potency to preach or convince. One who's empowered is a Shakti Vaishavatar. And unless the Lord's potency and power is there, then the demigods, they can give you some so-called temporary benedictions, But all these benedictions are finished with the life and with this creation. When we think how great, how wonderful Krishna, simply in a portion of a plenary portion, expands himself as Karanadakshay Vishnu, Mahavishnu. Now what to do? Okay, from his body he creates an ocean. And from that ocean, just by his breath, he takes a breath, exhales, unlimited universes are coming from his nostrils, from his mouth, from his pores of his body. Trillions of universes. Now what to do? Expand himself as Garbhodakshay Vishnu. Again Vishnu comes, and again he lies in the ocean, Garbho ocean. And he's like the super soul. Someone has to be in charge, someone has to control, create the elements, create the planets, unlimited universes, but also within each universe, unlimited planets. So who's going to manage the planets? Okay, there's Lord Brahma, then the demigods, the administrators, the progenitors of mankind, the Manus, so many, like 5,004 Manus in a day of Brahma. Yeah, so just this whole creation is very systematically arranged, where the sun rises, it glows, giving immense heat and light for the life of everyone. Without the sunshine, there's no vegetative growth. And how will we eat? And without the rain, without the, here the cowherd men are saying that, well, by the rain we're living, and Krishna is saying, no, this is Indra's his duty. If you're performing your work nicely, the rain will come. Not that Krishna believed that whole philosophy of that he was preaching to them, but he wanted to bring them to the stage of worshipping Krishna. Only Krishna needs to be worshipped. So Krishna manifests himself as Govardhan. Krishna manifests himself as the holy name, Golokher Premadan Harinam Sankirtan. So Krishna descends, the holy name descends, Vrindavan descends, all of Krishna's friends. And all of us, we're fortunate, whether we're mystics, yogis, or nobodies, somehow we have an opportunity, by Krishna's grace, by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, to participate in the eternal Leela of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Lord has descended again, and he has a Sankirtan mission. Isn't it? Bharata Bhumite Hoila Manushya Janmajar Janma Sarthaka Kori Kara Parupakar. The best service, the best preaching that can be done is done by those who are surrendered to the Lord, carrying the message of Krishna. Krishna says, I have so many fruits of love of Godhead, I cannot distribute all of them myself. So I'm ordering everybody's duty, that you take this message of Godhead and give it to others, spread it to others. And if one follows the order of spiritual master, he will get the Krishna Shakti, the potency of Krishna, that necessary requirement to overcome the mind and sensual demands. And the purification will give us strength in spiritual life. But Rupa Goswami says, Utsahan Nishchayat Daryat Tat Tat Karma Pravartanat. With enthusiasm and determination, we should chant the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The deity is not made of wood or stone or metal. The Lord is present. The pure devotee is not an ordinary human being. We should not disrespect in any way or find fault. The Vaishnava is not an ordinary, he's a European Vaishnava, American Vaishnava, South American, African Vaishnava, Indian Vaishnava. Prabhupada very much strongly, especially in the early days of spreading Krishna consciousness in Bharatvarsh, expressing the importance of not bringing the spiritual master and the Vaishnavas down to a mundane platform, material platform. And like again, we should not be overly judgmental, thinking, he's not really a good Vaishnava. Maybe he's not a Vaishnava. We're all servants of Krishna. Jivera Swarupur Krishna Nitya Das. Now, if we say from this day on, I know in the past I did not surrender to you, my dear Lord, but from this day on, I am surrendering to your lotus feet, and surrendering to Krishna means surrendering to Srila Prabhupada, and surrendering to Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and the faithful followers of the Lord. So we all have a lesson to learn, and as the 10th canto thickens, Krishna is always protecting the devotees, always engaged in loving affairs with the devotees, and just by his, hearing his flute or seeing, then everything else is just left behind. They're not thinking of rules and regulations, customs, that what will people think if I run away in the middle of the night in the forest chasing Krishna. It's almost like a hypnotic. It just completely mesmerizes us. So for that holy name to mesmerize, or just sitting and hearing, one who takes great pleasure in hearing Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Katha, considered very fortunate. But one who is accustomed to mental speculation and karma kandya, that I'll do this work, but what's in it for me? Generally you get a job, you want to know how many hours and what's my pay. If I perform this activity, what kind of remuneration will I get for that? If I surrender my life and all day long cleaning the temple, what do I get for this? It shouldn't be in that kind of capacity that we're thinking of surrendering to the Lord. Just like Dhruva Maharaj, he performed great tapasya and austerities. When the Lord offered a benediction, he said, I was looking for a broken piece of glass, but you gave me the most brilliant of all jewels. I have no desire for anything in this world. So we come in this world with nothing, and no matter how much we accumulate, how big our bank balance is, how big our family is, how big our possessions are, the newest of everything, computers and watches and phones and cars and boats and houses and estates. I remember there was this one person running for president in America on a TV show, say, how many houses do you have, Senator so-and-so? I forget, 13, 14, 15, I don't know, I forget. It's like we're thinking that the more and more I accumulate, then I'll be happy. But it's just a source of anxiety, big anxiety. I don't care if you're Ford, Rockefeller, Birla, or even a demigod, Indra. All these are temporary positions. Of course, they're all Vaishnavas. Demigods are Vaishnavas. We don't disrespect. And when trying to focus our attention on serving Krishna, exclusively Krishna, we're not trying to in any way belittle the demigods or thinking that they're just insignificant. They're very significant because they're carrying out the order of Krishna. So we have to carry out the order of Srila Prabhupada. We have to actually keep our drive and enthusiasm and understand the importance of this Krishna consciousness movement. Don't disregard it, think, Iskon is this or that. Sometimes in newspapers or persons who are not acquainted or educated or familiarized with the depth of philosophical authoritative conclusion of all the great acharyas, of all the Shrutis, Smritis, Puranas, Upanishads, and all the various Vedic mantras. Everything is geared and meant to awaken our love for Krishna. And all that complexity and huge volume of literature is being condensed in a very, very wonderful burfi, like a burfi, you take that milk and condense it down to everyone's had burfi? It's very, very tasty. So this burfi of Krishna Bhakti is being given to us by Srila Prabhupada, and we should not neglect this golden opportunity. Take advantage, and especially when you're in the Holy Dham, we have opportunity to serve the Vaishnavas, Don't be just, how you say, neutral. Be optimistic, enthusiastic, and by your happiness and enthusiasm, it becomes attractive. Krishna's happy. He's smiling. He's joyful. He loves joking with his friends. He loves having intimate relationship. Who doesn't want to have an intimate relationship? Everyone looking for that relationship, and that relationship will come if we simply chant the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.